Hi everybody and welcome to episode 4 of Becky, one of my short stories. So we'll carry on from where we left off last time. The next morning when John came home drunk as a lord, Vicky made sure he did not have it easy until he gave in and sobered up. Feeling better, said Vicky. Now that you are sober, yes. The couple had a baby girl and everything was fine and they celebrated into the early hours. You mean that you and he got drunk? I will send some flowers over and arrange a baby shower. Please do, and make sure he has a week off as well, with full pay of course. It will be done. Now, you have to get ready. Becky is coming over for tea and you cannot turn up drunk and smelling as bad as you do. Tea? When do we have tea, guests? Said John. Since I invited her over for tea, so come and get cleaned up. Don't try and matchmake, Vicky, it will not work. Shush. Do as you're told. It's about time you had a decent woman in your life and you always pick the wrong woman. So now I will find out all about her, and if she is the one, then you will listen to me. When has a woman ever been faithful to me? Never, as you picked the wrong woman. Now go. John walked off and Vicky rang a small bell and Mark came into the dining room. Yes, miss. Please make sure John is sober and make sure he does a tour of the farms today. I need time to talk with Becky and he's in no state to see her today. As you wish, miss, but may I ask what I am to do if he refuses? Make sure he goes. I don't care how, but keep him busy. Today. Yes, miss. When Becky arrived later that day, Vicky met her at the front door and apologised for John's absence and took her back into the rose garden where afternoon tea was served. Becky was a bit disappointed, but she enjoyed Vicky's company and they had a long chat. Vicky found out all she wanted to know and then they walked around the house and the gardens. So am I suitable for your brother, Vicky? I think so. Good. Now tell me why he's not here. I wanted to make sure that you both matched, and I know it may have offended you, but he does not have a good time with choosing his girlfriends. I know how that feels. Don't we all? Said Vicky. So, when will I be allowed to see John again? That depends if he has the nerve to call you. Is he not going to? He will, but he does not have faith in us any more after the last woman in his life. How can I put it? Frankly, Becky said. She was only after his money, and that's all John can see now that every woman wants his money and is not interested in him. Well, money does make life simple, but if he does not call on me, then it's his loss and yours, as you'll have to go dancing again with him. They both laughed. He will call you. How are you sure? I'll make sure he does. I will look forward to that, but I refuse when he does. I understand. He has to prove himself to you, and one night at a dance will not do that. No, it will not. It's been a pleasure, Vicky. I hope we can take tea again. No problem. Just don't forget we are like you, working class, and you don't have to come to the house dressed up every time. I am unsure after last night, and you have a wonderful house. Thank you, but please just be yourself. I will, and thank you. Mark, will you take Becky home and pick up? Mark will take you home and pick you up next weekend. Sorry for the error there. That will be great, but remember that he has to call me. With that, Becky was taken home. Next morning, John did call, and Becky, as she did say no, but over the next few weeks, Becky was invited over to the house more often and got to know John and his sister and felt that finally, that maybe, just maybe, she had found someone that was worth being with. Her friends had noticed a change in her and they all wanted to meet John and Becky laughed and said maybe one day. Becky was working in the office, filing away the solicitor's paperwork and thinking about this coming weekend. She had to say no to John's invitation as her parents were coming back home from the world trip and she wanted to greet them and see how they were doing. She knew they were having a great time as she got a postcard from them when they docked. This was their dream and they had worked hard and they deserved it. Becky missed them, but this weekend would be special. She had booked a table at the local country pub and she knew her parents liked and knew it was time for them to know about John and to ask them how they were. Her desk phone rang. "Hello? Can you come to the office, please?" asked the manager. "Okay." Becky put the phone down. Thought Becky, I wonder what's up. Becky walked into her manager's office and 2 policemen were with her. "What's going on?" asked Becky. "Miss Becky Faithhill?" Becky started to shake her head. The manager rushed to her side and Becky started to cry. "I'm sorry, miss, but your parents were killed in a plane crash this morning." No, it can't be. They were so happy. They were coming home. No, I don't believe it. "I'm sorry, miss. Is there anyone we can call?" Becky just cried while her manager hugged her and tried to comfort her. The 2 police officers left and Becky's managers sat her down on the couch and picked up the phone and her secretary came in. "Take Becky home. She is on leave until further notice. She is not to be left alone until someone is with her." Becky looked up. "I don't want to go home." Tears falling from her face. "Is there anyone we can call?" "Yes, Vicky, my friend." Her manager called the number Becky gave her, and when Vicky arrived she was saying to Becky, who hugged her, "Thank you for coming. I don't know what to do. Let's get you home." "I don't want to go home," said Becky. "You will come and stay with me for a few days then." "What about John?" "John can wait. I have a townhouse close by." Vicky had a quick chat with Becky's boss and they both left and all Becky did was cry. "Oh God, it's so cold here today." John called Vicky later that night, but Becky did not hear much of the conversation, and Vicky's doctor had given her some sedative and put her in a spare bedroom and told Vicky she was not to be disturbed or left alone for the next few days. She was to then make an appointment with her own doctor as soon as possible. A few days later, Becky came around and Vicky smiled and sat on her bed. "How do you feel?" Becky started to cry again. "Shush, everything will be fine. I've took care of everything for you, and you have your clothes and some personal things I thought you may need, and if there's anything you need, we will get it." "Oh, Vicky, thank you so much. I'm sorry to impose, but I did not know what to do." "It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm glad I can be of help. We must get you up and out in the fresh air today. You have to go and see your doctor tomorrow." Becky sat up in bed and cried into her hands. "I will go and put the shower on for you. Thank you." Becky walked down the stairs and Vicky smiled and made breakfast for them both. Scrambled egg on toast with tea. "I need to go home and get my phone book and a suitcase for some clothes as I'll need to travel to my parents' house later on and call their solicitor. I have already taken care of their solicitor for you and you have an appointment with him this coming Monday. You're on leave for the next few weeks until you feel able to return to work. Everyone sends their condolences." "Thank you, Vicky. John is frantic about you. He's not stopped calling me for information on how you're doing." "I don't think I can face him yet." "Yes, I've told him that, but he rings anyway. I'm sorry to be so much trouble." "It's a pleasure to help a friend, Becky. Now let's go and get you the things you need." As Becky walked up to the path of her house and opened the door, there were a lot of cards from her mom and dad's friends. But she did not open them. Instead she put them on the table next to the door and went upstairs to go and get her phone book. After she had made sure everything was right, they made a drive back to Vicky's house. John's car was outside and as they pulled up he got out. I looked at them both and Becky walked over to him and hugged him, not saying a word, but felt safe in his arms. "I told you not to come until she wanted to see you," said Vicky. "I know, but I could not stand it any more. I had to know if she was okay." Becky pulled back and kissed John and then walked into the house. "What just happened?" asked John. You fool! Of course she's happy to see you, but she's upset now. Go home. The kiss? What? Go now. John got into his car and left even more confused than ever and still worried about the woman he loved. Vicky walked in and saw Becky making tea for them both. That's the first time I've seen you kiss him and make him confused. He's a wonderful man, but I cannot fall in love with him now. I think that's a bit too late, Becky. I know, she whispered. We have a long day tomorrow. Are you up for it? Do I have a choice? No. Then I will be ready. The night dragged on and Becky tossed and turned, unable to sleep. In the morning she was tired but got dressed in a black dress and sunglasses. And Vicky was also dressed in black, and they had breakfast in silence and then drove down to her parents' solicitors. Welcome, Miss Faithhill and Miss Brightwater. If you both come this way, please. I have a letter for you, Miss Faithhill. A letter? Please come this way. And the solicitor escorted them into his office, and he sat down behind his desk, then handed Becky a letter. I have no idea what it contains, Miss Faithhill, but I was to give this to you if anything happened to your parents. Becky sat down and read the letter, and then gave it to Vicky to read. Vicky read it and then looked at Becky. Is there anything else? Asked Becky. No, Miss Faithhill. That's all I was instructed to give you. Becky and Vicky got up and thanked the solicitor for his time. He saw them out, and when they got into the car, Becky looked at the letter again. What does it mean, Vicky? I have no idea, but we shall have to go to the bank and find out. If you don't mind. No, I don't mind. I'm intrigued as much as you are. When they arrived at the bank, they asked to see the manager, and the receptionist asked if they had an appointment. They, of course, said no, but the letter she had said she did on her parents' death. The secretary looked confused, but picked up the phone and spoke to the manager, and he came down shortly after. I'm sorry for your loss, Miss Faithhill. Please come this way. With that, they followed him into the office, and they sat down. What is this all about, please? Becky asked. May I see some ID in the letter, please? Becky opened her purse and handed over her driving licence and the letter. After a while he looked up. Several years before you were born, your parents came to see me and wanted to make a deposit on your behalf. All I can say is everything is legit and has been checked with the correct authorities. And I agreed, and I am not to give you access to your bank account until you had your first child or they were killed unexpectedly. They were very strict in the way it was to be given to you, and they also left you a letter. As soon as I checked the name, I had my secretary fetch all the relevant paperwork. Becky and Vicky looked even more confused. The bank manager opened a folder and passed over some paperwork for Becky to sign, and then gave her another letter that was sealed with wax. That's going to be the end of today's episode, because tomorrow's episode, or the next episode when I get time to do it, will be the end of the story. So we're going to leave it in the bank manager's office with the letter sealed with wax, and I'll catch you tomorrow next time on HMK Story Time. Have fun, stay safe, bye for now. Oh, I need to shut it off.